Okay, we're recording. There we go there. Hello, everybody. It's me, Bex, and well, I'm Ace. That's Bex. I'm Lefty Spin Hand, and we are part of an Orrery of Souls. We're trying something new. Bex and I both really love this game. We love playing together. We can't get enough, so we've decided that we want to try a new approach to what we're calling the side quest. Um, in the side quest, Bex and I are going to each be playing a character, but we're also going to be GMing for and with each other. It's going to be super collaborative, even more so than what you've seen in the main campaign so far. Um, so I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. This is our second take. We had technical difficulties again, different kinds. Um,
Yeah.
so this is not going to be a play session so much. Maybe we might get to it if we get some ideas hammered out. But what we're really doing is planning on how such a deeply collaborative role-playing experience would go. We have two GMs GMing essentially for and with each other. It seems like we probably wouldn't be able to sink a whole lot of effort into uh, campaign planning.
Yeah.
Um, because anything could change at any given moment. And that sounds like fun. It sounds like playing kind of from the hip. Um,
Yeah.
could lead to a lot more emergent gameplay, emergent storytelling, organic storytelling, things that wouldn't normally happen when a GM has spent hours and hours and hours laying everything out. What we have, because we talked about this maybe for a total of about 15, 20 minutes, uh,
Yeah, something like that.
while we were breaking down the shooting rig after last session. And basically during that 15-minute conversation, we were like, "You want to try it?" And Bex was like, "Yeah, let's give it a shot." So we sat down and we figured out we're each going to be playing one character. And the one thing that we both know from the outset is that we are crewmates together on a boat. Hi, welcome.
Yeah. Th- There is one more thing. It is on feel.
It is that it's true. It's going to be on the continent of Feel. And did we establish that it's going to be running concurrent with the main campaign?
I don't remember if we made that decision. I think we were leaning towards that.
I kind of am, but I'm not married to that. I think it'd be cool to have some potential spillover where things that have been happening in the main campaign, news of the world gets to wherever it is that we are at any given time, and could potentially affect some of the way things could potentially go.
Yeah.
Um, and I like that possibility, but it's very doubtful that in the side quest we would have any interplay with anything that's directly happening in the main campaign.
Yeah.
I would like to reserve the right to be able to bring some of the stuff that happens in side quests into the main campaign to where maybe at some point it might be fun to have our guys interact with the main campaign, with the players of the main campaign, or something like that. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it even could play out like that,
We'll see where everybody ends up at the right time.
but the idea for side quest is that we get to explore more of the continent of Feel,
Yes.
get a sense for what the other countries in the Western Accord are like, set some precedents for in-game world stuff, and not have to worry about what's happening in the main campaign to make anything work.
Yeah.
That way, we just get to kind of play. We have this whole continent to be able to play with, and we might as well play in the parts of the continent that aren't being used by the main campaigns.
Yes.
Uh,
Stuff that the main campaign might be able to see eventually, but aren't necessarily planned that far ahead. But also parts of the of feel that will definitely have an impact on what's going on in the overall story.
Yeah, that way I, as a game master, already have some of that meat to be able to dig into, points of reference to be able to build off of for the main campaign.
And it's just more time to be on the continent of feel for everyone.
Yeah,
Just see what the world is actually like outside of the main cities or anything like that.
yeah. Um, so I've got art, but I didn't load them onto the laptop, so we'll hold that for
When the game gets
when
going
the full,
proper.
yeah, when the game actually begins. But so what we have established so far is that we both have characters. Um, uh, I've got Atellus Rufi. Atellus is Simia. He is a wild-born sorcerer. He's an elemental origins sorcerer, and he is of the element the air. Um, kind of done on purpose, just so that I have more affinity with our other character.
Uh, my character is going to be Nivelle. I have not thought of a last name for him yet, but maybe just doesn't have one. We'll figure that out later. But Nivelle is a seaborn skykin seraph. Uh, so the idea I had for this character is to basically be the ship priest with making some extra money of filling the sails when the winds die down. Uh, Priest, bodyguard, kind of what have you. Being a seraph, he's got the healing aspects of all that. So, doctor.
Right? Right. Ship's doctor, ship's motor,
Yeah,
an extra sword, uh,
well, axe.
yeah, an extra blade. Boomerang, by the way, enchanted boomerang.
And so we both have the same gimmick.
Yeah, well, it's range.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because you're using the
the divine wielder,
divine
the
wielder. So
spirit weapon. I get to use it like a boomerang,
yeah,
essentially. So that's funny. Oh, the things the wind allows you to play with.
right.
So that's the gist of what I've come up with for my character. Um,
I don't have any backstory for Atellus yet. I haven't. I've got only the loosest idea that he may have been born from fully wild spider monkeys, and that he may be the first generation wildling.
ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because there's nothing that says that all the wildlings are done. You know, they're probably still fully wilds that are still bringing
Yeah,
wildlings into existence. So I kind of want to toy with that idea. And I thought that Atellus might be a good way to see whether that's an
that
idea worth developing.
that would be the first wildling of his uh, bloodline, right?
Yeah,
Where, because they don't have a very long life. Uh,
the simian.
yeah, I think it's like 100 years
That would make sense given how close they are to humans. Humans are at
on
100.
on average. Sima lived for about 100 years. So that's according to Daggerheart, though.
Right. and I tend to stick to that. There's
Plenty to work with.
yeah, it's enough. Um, so the the idea is that we both will be telling the story at any given time. But when I want to do something, I would refer to Bex as the GM to help me handle what roles need to be made, when they need to be made. And then he would handle resolutions just like any GM would. And then I would do the same for him. So on an action by action basis, it's going to be flip-flopping back and forth. Um,
I got you. Yeah,
for the bigger storytelling elements, that's that's where it gets hazy. That's where it gets hazy because without having anything written out beforehand, we're going to be asking each other questions in the moment, out of game, to hammer out where the next thing happens, what how big the next thing should be. Um, I mean, for example, um, well, first of all, what's the name of the ship? What's the name of the ship that we find ourselves on to begin with?
mm.
Right?
I'm sorry. Just one of the things that's in my head fresh and present is because we've been watching so much anime. The Rimuru.
The Riveroo.
We had just got finished getting caught up with Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yeah, good show.
It's a good one. We're excited for whenever the next bit comes out. Um, but yeah, I can't say I'm gonna have any sort of serious name,
Right. Um,
but I can't say anything I would say that is serious would be original either.
um, so to for well then let's approach it from a different angle. Who is the captain of this ship that we are on? The ship one of the things that we established during that 15-minute conversation was that this ship at least sometimes runs between the Dracona run country of fear up to the Isle of Regantum, Rezontum, which is where the last two volcanic dragons uh, on Feel reside, and then probably does some of the northwestern countries trading. But one of its main routes is that it is a connecting ship between the kingdom, the Infernal Kingdom, and the semi-neutral island of Rezontum at the very least. So is is this a Dracona? Is this a ship of Dracona registry, or is it a ship of?
So the fun idea I'm having as we were talking about it, the captain should be a bard,
Okay,
and because it feels like a fun idea, Galapa.
right on. All right.
Um, with that suggested, that would make it a potentially true neutral uh, ship. It wouldn't be a Dracona, it wouldn't be an Elder Races, it would be a true neutral ship.
All right.
And if it does maintain true neutral, that would allow it to do an awful lot of low maintenance stuff in all over feel.
In most of Feel, yeah, not really in the full, like definitely not in Hate. Hate is purely run by Infernus. But in Fear at least, and then Shame is absolutely open territory. They're for for trade purposes. This is not going to be like relationships,
Yeah,
it's not a political relationship. It's a trade relationship. And then the entire Western Accord is open for business for a ship like this as well. But like SAD, I don't see why SAD wouldn't be interested in having trade relations with a ship like this either. So that means all three of the Far Eastern kingdoms, sorry, but two of the three Far East kingdoms would be tradable. So we can still get over to that side of the continent. We just the Far East Kingdom of Hate wouldn't have any interest. They would rely on the other two kingdoms to make those relationships, and they would import what they buy from their principality kingdoms.
fair enough. That sounds fair. The question I have is double-sided, I suppose.
Fine.
Um, would we, would the ship still be allowed to go around the far end to get to the other side of the continent?
Yeah, I don't see why not. There are still like international water lines that
Okay.
if you're inside the boundary of those international waters, you could be a potential threat. But that would only be when you're directly out in Hayton waters.
Yeah,
If you've got a writ of trade from SAD and from Fear, then there's no reason for you not to be on at least on the outer border of those international waters while you're working between those two kingdoms. So yeah, there's nothing that would interfere as long as you got the proper paperwork, which our Galapa captain would need in order to be able to pursue those contracts.
right.
So who is he? Who is he? He's a Galapa bard.
Does does that make sense why that was my thought process?
Bard seems random to me, but
A captain encouraging his crew.
right. Yeah. Okay.
He
Uh,
doesn't have to be doing the work, but as long as he's out there playing a fiddle or doing some storytelling for his crew
yeah, no,
to
that's cool.
maintain. Yeah, that's where that thought came from entirely. Is
That does make sense.
the captain can know and be able to do all the manual labor and all that. But in my head, a good captain, while they would spend time working with his people, will spend just as much time working the morale of his people.
Absolutely.
And that's a very Bard thing.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Um,
And he would have to be a sea tortoise or a sea turtle.
right.
Uh, Leatherback or an Australian sea turtle. Types of sea turtle. There are 7 species
Wow.
of sea turtles, And if you remember in the 4.5 episode, I said there's just a lot of stuff up here. This is why.
He's full of it.
Oh, sponsored. 7 species of sea turtle. Okay. They have them listed. Flatback sea turtle diet, loggerhead, current projects, and meet our team. You know what? I don't think I read that right.
That's only five.
That is only 5. Uh, and only 2 of them were actually sea turtles. All right, what we got here? That looks like 7. Open image in new tab. What do we got? So we got loggerhead, which was actually a thing. Leatherback, hawksbill sea turtle, flatback sea turtle, Kemp's Ridley, cool,
Yeah.
olive Ridley, and there is a distinct difference, and green.
So meet Captain Jonas Ridley.
Okay. So there's the olive Ridley, which is a slightly longer, looks like it's equally as wide, but slightly longer with a more pointed tail end. Or there's the Kemp's Ridley, which is an almost round sea turtle.
Well, given that our Jonas is seems to be interested in positive relationships, he's not a whip cracker. He supports his crew. I feel like he would be of a more rounded personality,
Okay,
so maybe more rounded imagery.
so the Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. None of this is actually necessary, but it's nice for us.
Well, but it actually does help because when I'm constructing the images for character art,
Fair.
I have these points of reference to be able to build the prompts. I use AI. Suck it. Get over it. If you don't like AI in gaming, then deal with it. Look, there's a lot of stuff that I can lean on as a game master to be able to provide depth to what it is that we're doing, to provide depth to the world. I don't let the AI write my story for me. What I have done is I have written, right now, there are 20 books. They're not all full length. Some of them are just a few reference points, but there are 20
Yeah.
books that have all the lore that I've developed so far. And they're divided up in those books so that I don't have to dig through a super long file to be able to find a specific point. But I've got 1,000 years of history that I have written. I feed that all into uh, the AI, and then I can ask reference questions that help me to fill the story out. What happened in the year 751? And then it'll go to everything that I've written and tell me everything that happened in 751. And then I can draw what I need from that. Um, where was this specific character in the year, not where would this specific character be in the year 999? I can ask those reference questions and it can give me answers extrapolated from the canon that we've already established. but I also use it for the music. I use AI for the music that we're going to be incorporating into the streams and for the art, the character art and location art that you've seen on the screen in the past. So if you don't like AI, then you need to click off now. But I ask that if you don't like AI, stick with us and we can show you that it's actually a useful tool that is I don't use to replace my GM abilities. I use it to enhance the experience for the table. It's not something that I don't stand on it, but I do lean on it. Okay, anyway. Um, so that yeah, having the reference information that this is a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle.
KEMP''S. Just
Gotcha, thank
just
you. Will allow me to create character art that is directly representative of the correct species of turtle. Uh, so it feels like when you first think of it, it's like, this is just knowledge for knowledge's sake, but it's a little bit more than that, actually. It's
it has
actually,
more use than that.
yeah. Um,
So tell me what the C's names are, or if it's just the one C.
so I have not named because of the shape of the continent. The continent is essentially like a dog bone that's probably 5 times larger than Australia.
Okay.
But it's a really big world, so no one from Feel has actually been able to sail in any one direction long enough to be able to encounter another continent.
There are other continents.
But so it's effectively all one sea, and we are on an island that is completely surrounded. So there hasn't been any need to name it because it's all the
The
same
C.
place.
It's the C.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Let's do another search. Um, what do you think of kelp? Uh, hmm. What do you think of the Lasonia?
Lisonia sounds pretty. What is it?
It is a type of kelp.
Okay.
Uh, however, uh, it that's a shitty image. Oh, you're not going to show me. Uh, it looks like it's a very branching kelp type. Uh, so something that would have many paths.
That's kind of a cool idea. I definitely get that.
The other one I was looking at is the Arame. That is a single branch that has a bunch of leaves coming off of the top.
Okay.
if we are to be a merchant ship, both of those feel good on the idea of we are taking stuff and branching it out to
Right?
somewhere else, or
Distributing it.
we
Yeah.
are receiving and distributing.
I get that. I get that. That's kind of cool.
And kelp is the one of the number one things that feed us
Food sources.
for tortoise
Yeah. That's
or
kind of
for
cool.
turtles. So there's like, I mean, sure, let's go down this path and see where it goes.
Right. I like both of those. Hold both of those.
Okay.
I have asked the AI to suggest some names.
Okay.
um, for a ship captained by a Galapagos. And so it has offered a couple of different ideas here. The ones that I think stand out are Drum of the Waves.
Ooh.
It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure I'm married to that because, well, I don't see him being a drummer bard. Um, but then Ballad of the Tides was another interesting one that I kind of thought fit, but it doesn't really, it's more, those are bard oriented, both of them, not necessarily. Um, Wandering Shell.
I kind of like that one. We did say this was mostly going to be a brainstorming thing.
Yeah.
So there may be a lot of dead air, but there may be a lot of not talking about anything specific. So pick your poison at that point.
Right. I tend to be leaning forward here, so I'm going to make some adjustments to my camera positioning. Sorry if you're getting sick, peoples. Okay. This way I can lean forward and still be completely on camera. Um, it was Livonia and
Lasonia
Lasonia
and Arame.
and Arame.
Those were my two suggestions, and they were not jokey, but they're not necessarily serious either. I did like the Wandering Shell as well. That one did feel nice.
So my suggestion then would be to combine the two. The Lithonia, the Wandering Shell, as the name. Lithonia would be the registry name, and then Wandering Shell would be like a caption name.
The moniker.
Yeah.
I got you.
Um, can you spell Leli?
Lesssonia.
How many masts does she have? How big is she?
Let's see. Go away.
So if she's just a coastal trader, then there would probably be just the one sail. one main mast. If she, because the more sails you have, the bigger the capacity in the hull, in the hold, but also the further she's intending to go. And because none of these are intercontinental ships, I wouldn't see anything larger than two masts. Like a two-mast thing would be more of a prestige and a speed of service rather than for any real necessity. Having three masts would literally be overkill and would be for a
Royalty traveling.
right royalty or super into himself merchant who's got more money than sense and just wants to be impressive. Um,
So not something unheard of, but also
yeah,
anybody working on those ships knows they're working on one of those ships.
right. So I would say my guess is that because Captain Ridley has, we want him to have contacts everywhere. I would say he's got two sails, two masts. That way he's got some extra speed to be able to get across the continent in as short a time as possible. Um,
So I'm looking at two kinds of ships.
okay,
A galley looks like it's only got two sails, but the image isn't very good. Or a schooner, which has two masts but a bunch of other sails.
right.
But I'm not certain about how big a schooner is.
It's a schooner, idiot.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I expect YouTube to tell me. But I don't know.
Oh, that's a line from a Kevin Smith movie. Sorry, Mallrats. Um,
And that's how in the loop I am. Because what I looked up was old types of old merchant ships. And
right. So we had schooner. Yeah, those are pretty. That one's got the foresail, the forecastle, as they say, and the mainsail, and then the aft sail. And sometimes there's a lot of those other pinion sails. That's pretty though. That is a good looking ship. What was the other one?
a
Was galley.
galley.
Yeah.
Again, galley I wasn't certain on just because the image I have for a galley is not great.
Yeah, galleys are river ships. I mean, they can be big, but if you most of the images that I'm pulling up here are the ones that have 20 oars on a side. They also have sails, but these are river ships where you're relying on oars because the wind is not necessarily going to be able to take you in the right direction to be usable in a river that only has two directions. You can,
It does say in quotes oared ship right
yeah.
there. So okay.
So I think we're schoonery.
Okay. So uh the next thing I'm looking at is average crew for a schooner.
Nice.
If I can spell it right, which I can't.
Is it schooner? SCH?
Yeah. So
Show me a sloop. single mast. Oh no, we got some. Sorry, go ahead.
I've always assumed sloops are like dinghies with
Oh,
sails.
no, they are on the smaller end. Most of these tend to be single sail. Some of the military sloops had three masts, but
But that's military.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, sloops are definitely smaller, more like a pleasure boat rather than something for trade, for mercantile use. So yeah, we're schoonery. Okay, what were your average crew count for?
Yeah, they are, according to this, a range of 5 to 15 hands is common for smaller coastal vessels. But it's also saying larger cargo schooners typically required 6 to 8 crew members. So that's not a lot of individuals.
No, eight would put them right in the middle of that range, right? Because 15 was the outside edge of that. Eight does good. That puts the two of us at 1/4 of the crew count.
Which means we are important.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so we got eight deckhands. We've got a captain. We're gonna need a mate. Um, do you think this is I don't think this is a gunship. He might have something
This is magic.
defensive, but not piratey. And so
Maybe we can get away with one gun, but that would have to be like on the back of the ship. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Uh, We are running away from you. Fuck off. That would be about it though, because if merchant vessels did run heavily armed while they were big, sorry, that may have been my fault a while ago.
we got it. It's all right.
Um, but they were also larger ships. Uh, speaking from historically our side, um, especially if they knew they were going through pirated waters. But while I do imagine piracy is a thing, I don't imagine it's a major thing.
Yeah, it's small scale, absolutely small scale. Now, since the migration has begun, um, with it's not piracy so much as potential military movement, in furnace moving troops around. Um, One of the ways that Captain Ridley will have kept away from that is by staying away from the southern waters. Um, the Principality of Anger, which is located in the west, um, is the furthest southern point of the dog bone
Yeah,
shape of the continent on the west, that wider end. And then, so there would be,
do you have the map?
I do. I don't have it up, but yeah, let's put it up. That's a good
Let's try to put it up.
right. So now I have to mouse up to where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. There.
We're learning all his secrets. Yay!
This is geography. These aren't secrets. No. Okay, that's anger. And then on the other side of shame are the Eastern kingdoms, fear, sad, and hate. Hate is Infernus territory through and through. Principality of Fear is Draconis territory almost exclusively, and then Sad is Orcs and Giants.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But so between hate and fear, the Draconis tend to have the closer relationship with the Infernus leadership. So this, I wish I could get better connectivity here, but that's anger, that's fear. This connection here would be used pretty frequently uh, for communication, for
Okay.
transfer of hard copy and that kind of stuff.
Uh, for fear, is there a northern access, a northern border to the water?
To the water, yes, there is. It's pretty small,
Okay,
but that
but it
there
exists.
it does exist, and that point of contact is Durorum. That's the port city that the fear tend to use in order to get over to Rizontum.
Okay. So really, the only reason Ridley would need to go around is to drop off stuff at other cities on the southern half.
Exactly, yeah. That's yeah. At any point, there is a land route to be able to be taken, but portage of large quantities of stuff means land caravans, and land caravans can take just as long as it would take uh,
Yeah,
for a ship to be able to make the same journey. And
and just as likely to be attacked on the way.
right, if not more so, because there isn't a lot of pirate activity. If there is, it's not on any kind of big scale. It's not, that historically there were one, two, three, four, there were five countries that were big patrons of privateerism and piracy.
Okay.
Um, and here there would really only be the kingdom that might be interested in using pirates to harass the coasts of the Western Accord. The Western Accord themselves, they're traders. They're not pirates. Uh, Nobody wants to get on the bad side, so there wouldn't be a lot of pirate activity against the Infernus themselves. And even if there was, it would be in the waters of shame.
The middleman.
The middleman, exactly. So there's a lot of reasons for the West not to really be big on that kind of international piracy. What we will see is that because the Love Protectorate is a naval-oriented country, even though there's a lot of land, it, their whole political system is based around the Navy
Ships.
and ships and that kind of trade. Um, we might see some pirate activity uh, uh, against Palm and against Safe. Probably not against Pride because Pride is a military state, and they will come after your ass if you get on their bad side. So, but Palm is a trader state. They're a merchant state craftsman. So they would make relatively easy pickings for love pirates. And the free territories, no one freehold has the resources to become a worthy a pirate target of piracy. So probably not a lot of interest in raiding any of the safe ships.
They're
Um,
not exporting anything, but they are importing stuff.
yes, absolutely. They rely on imports for materials, foods, and materials. So
They
yeah,
have a lot of borders though, so I don't imagine they would need to ship anything. It'd all be land caravans.
for the most part. But getting stuff from specialty items, luxury items, and that kind of thing. There's a lot of reason to trade, to use
To use ships.
ships for trade. Yeah, and once again, the wind is powerful, fast.
Especially when you got two wind users on the ship.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing about Ateles. It hasn't manifested any of that at 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 level one, and that's another question. Do we want to start at level one? But he wouldn't be able to do nearly the sail filling that Nivelle can.
Yeah. Did we talk about them on this recording yet? I know we started to.
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, go ahead and tell us about Nivelle. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette while you do that.
So, because of our technical difficulties, this is our second time going through this. This is the first time we've talked this long about this. Um, but I don't remember if we've actually introduced our characters yet. Uh,
I'm not sure. I think we might have, but yeah, go ahead. We can do it
no,
again.
we did. We did before you asked about the captain and the ship.
Yeah, I thought I think it feels like we did. Briefly, just so that we know we've done
Okay. So the character I've made is Nivelle. He is a Seaborn Skykin Seraph. So he's half wind himself. Uh, Being a Seraph, he's going to have the healing stuffs. Uh, so he will essentially be the ship doctor. Uh, but because is a strong individual, he will also be bodyguard and other such nonsense as needed. And because he is so movement inclined with the wind, he'll be making a little extra money if the wind ever dies down for us. Is the idea, anyways.
For those of you unfamiliar, the Skykin is an ancestry that are in the Void. They're currently in playtest. They don't appear in the main rule book, but they are descended from air elementals. So
Yes.
they tend to manifest both fleshy bits and also airy bits in their physicality.
Yeah.
A Tellus is a spider monkey simia with a prehensile tail. He is a sorcerer of the elemental origin, um, and he is a rigger on the ship, um, which means he climbs around setting sails and adjusting the lines and booms of the sails. Um, and yeah, just in case we didn't do it in this one, the idea behind his character concept is that he is a first generation wildling. His parents were both full unevolved spider monkeys. Uh, yeah, okay, now we got that covered. Um, but yeah, as far as my ability to do wind stuff, I can do a channel raw power, which would allow me to do, for flavor purposes, do some assistance with filling the sails and providing extra wind power. But he hasn't manifested any of those. Like I can, with the elementalist ability of the elemental origin subclass, I can essentially shape air into harmless effects, and I can use it to gain bonuses to ability rolls and damage. So it's not like I can do what you can, which is actually
Yeah,
create powerful blasts of air.
the Skykin has the trait Gale Force. Mark a stress, conjure a gust of wind that carries you or an ally up to very far range. Additionally, you can always control your speed of falling. Not a huge deal here, but that gale force can be used to fill sails.
Yeah, that's a really strong gust of wind to be able to push a full-sized person to very far range, with control enough to not do damage to them when they land. So that's a pretty powerful blast, and that would definitely be useful to a sailing ship.
Especially when time is money.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, do we want to start at first level? Do we want to start these guys out at uh
That is a wonderful question. And I'm inclined to say yes, start at level 1. Because we've done that with everybody else, and
mm,
that's the typical flow of everything. But also, it would be nice to start at not level 1, but why would we not be level 1?
yeah. I mean, we got characters in the main campaign that have been alive for 250 years and are only at level 1. The reason that we've done that, we kind of, for established canon purposes, we kind of have said that you don't actually start leveling until your actual adventure begins. And living life day to day, even though it can be filled with things that happen, you're not necessarily gaining levels. So I would say that if we're going to stick with the established canon of the way we've been doing this, our adventure still hasn't officially begun yet, and so
Yeah,
we wouldn't have been leveling. So I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely cool with that. It wouldn't, we would be remiss if we didn't ask the question.
yeah, no, and I'm satisfied with that answer. And also, yeah, okay, but
Right?
you know what I mean? It's like,
I do, but we're gonna be into level 2, tier 2 relatively quickly, so that naturally happens pretty quick.
yeah,
Um, Okay, so we have the boat. We'll fill out the crew kind of as we go. Um, so the next big question, I guess, is, and I did ask the question and we toyed with it, but we didn't come up with anything firm. Is this an adventure on the sea? Is this going to be
I believe it should be for a decent amount of time. I don't want to commit to, yes, only on the sea, only ever. But what if we're hired for something else? There's a whole continent here.
yeah.
There's other continents elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am committed to the idea of being a seafaring adventurer
For a while at
for
least.
for for a decent amount of time.
Okay.
But the other side of that is I don't know what would take us off the sea.
Right, and that's why we're going to be relying so heavily on the emergent nature of this style of campaign, this
Yeah.
style of storytelling. Uh,
The other side of that is we can't leave the sea. We're one quarter of his crew.
right, we'd be really screwing Ridley.
So
um,
there's arguments on all sides of that
yeah,
one. I'm perfectly satisfied exploring Field's coastline. Just the whole bit, seeing what's going on, seeing how different nations react to this neutral ship that has been trading with the bad guys, but also trading with the good guys, and nobody's causing a fuss about it except us.
all right.
Why are you here? You're coming from that side. But they got good stuff, and they need some of our stuff, and not all of them are bad, but I know a lot of them are bad.
Right, and that should make for some interesting storytelling. Is the moral implications of trading with Infernus kingdoms, the principalities.
Yeah.
It should make for an interesting, because so far everybody knows that they are a warlike state. The all four of the Infernus kingdoms, collectively referred to as the kingdom from here on out. Um, so yeah, it should make for interesting storytelling that we're going to be doing business with both sides. Uh, and what problems could that cause? That should be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
Um, the mechanics of how we're going to do the storytelling for individual encounters, that kind of stuff is so amorphous and hazy to me that I feel like I want to talk about it, but I don't even know what questions to ask yet for how is it going to work? How would we, you know,
Yeah.
how that? Um,
So one of the things that is coming to my mind first is during travel. The question is, how would things happen?
Stop.
Knock it off.
There's an egg right there.
She's up the stairs by the time I get over
Okay.
there. I kept grabbing it, hoping I could find her, but nope. Uh, how how would we make the travel interesting outside of conversation, just talking? Um, the first thing that comes to mind is a couple of tables. So roll dice to see what is something going to happen today. Okay, cool. What's going to happen? Um, but that's one idea for from my head, and that depending on what's on those tables could be map breaking, I suppose. If it's the wrong kind of thing at the wrong time.
Right.
Uh, find a coral reef at low tide.
Right. That's interesting stuff. Absolutely. That's interesting stuff. So we can do random events like that. Let's tab in one. We can do weather tables.
Yeah, yeah. That'll help make things a little more randomized as well. And rolling dice to see if things happen and what happens is just one part of that idea. It doesn't have to be that idea. But
Right. If there's something specific we have in mind, we don't need to go to a table. But if,
exactly.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it's something that we can have as a crutch if we feel like we need it. Um, yeah, I don't know what to ask. I don't know what to try to prepare, what kind of eventualities to try to, so that we don't end up with gaps like that we're having in this conversation where we
Right.
both try to figure out what the next thing is. Um,
So let me ask this question then.
mhm.
Where is first port?
um, yeah, it's a marvelous question. Where is? Um, just because it's where we established, at first we can say that we're still on the northern route, still working the fear to Risontum angle. Um, just so that for random purposes, we can say that we will be coming into, what was the name of the, the port in fear?
Started with a D.
Yeah, Duro Dunum or something like that. No, Durorum.
So we'll be pulling into Dororum.
Yeah.
Get cats, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Before anybody points out, get them fixed. That costs money.
Yeah, we we's broke.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that if you're comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with that. It starts us in enemy territory, which should make for an interesting experience. Um, we can say that there's a an enclave in Durorum where Westerners, under the writ of trade, are have free wandering, um, but it's a relatively small section of the city, and it'll have all the basic needs and necessities, so we can, anyone who gets off of the boat can go do stuff that's not on the boat, get some shore leave. But
Bar, inn, brothel.
right, uh, general store.
Ah, they don't care about that.
But then also that's where there would be a shipwright, there would be a sailmaker, there would be line maintenance, people who do rope and basically all the mechanical necessities that would the captain would need to be able to repair the ship or keep the ship in good maintenance,
Fishnets.
right? Um, and you would need to have an invitation from someone in the main part of the city in order to be able to leave the boundary of the enclave
That
in,
feels appropriate
into the main city.
for fear. That feels appropriate for fear.
Um,
So the next thing in my head is what would we be carrying to and from each area?
so that's where I feel like I kind of have an interesting idea,
Okay.
but it might be a bit much also. Once we get into town, I would say that Captain Ridley is approached uh, and offered a contract to carry men and goods.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Knowing the handful of things I know about the main campaign, this feels suspicious.
As the boat is loading, as we're loading the goods, we're also seeing coming across the gangplank what seem to be children.
Mm.
Uh, they're at least they're small in stature, but we can't see any of their faces because they're all hooded. And I would say that uh, Captain Ridley is nervous about this contract, um, because out of game, we'll say above the table rather than on the table, uh, this is a new cell, an operating cell of the Black Nail. um, which I don't even know that you know what the black nail is. Have I talked to you about the black nail at all?
Not much, but I am aware that they are the Illuminati.
They're they're the CIA. They're black ops.
Okay.
They're operatives. Um, and so even Ridley wouldn't be told that. He would just say, "You are transporting these people and their goods to," and I don't even know where they're going yet, but it seems like that's an interesting enough point because these cells have to get in to the cities and towns that they're infiltrating to set up their operations to begin causing problems for the West.
Yeah. So the one thing to point out there is we are a merchant ship. We are not a transport ship.
That's why we were chosen. As a merchant ship, there's no need to worry about who else is on the boat with you.
Mm,
If they stay down in the hold, in the cargo hold, then they're just more cargo.
and that would make the crew nervous as a whole. Okay.
Um, that just seemed like an interesting starting
It
point.
really is. That is a fascinating.
We immediately start off with a fun moral dilemma. Do we let them off of that boat to do what they're going to do? We don't even know what they are. We just know that they're unsavory, and eventually we would learn that they are green and not children. And yeah, that it seems like a fun place to start.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm fascinated by that. I would like to see where that would go.
So the Black Nail is a goblin run uh, information and essentially crime network that operates on the level of the CIA. They do political assignments, destabilization of local governments, uh, information gathering, uh, all that kind of deep state stuff in the name of the kingdom.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So that's just answering the next deposit, the next uh,
Rephrase.
transfer. That answers the next shipment.
Ah, okay, yes.
It is 12 o'clock here, by the way.
Oh, it is. It's midnight.
We are recording this at midnight right now. I seem to be getting
Yeah,
tired.
your brain locked up there for a second.
That's nothing new though. Um, but what about normal shipments?
Right, then it wouldn't just be the one necessarily because he's probably got some merchant contracts as well. It's not like they're bringing buildings. They're not bringing big equipment. They're bringing
supplies and
supplies and the stuff they need in order to get infiltrated. So there's still plenty of room in the hold for real merchandise.
there's nothing saying he only takes one contract at a time
Yeah, no,
ever.
that wouldn't make sense. You
No,
try to
if
stack as much until your hold's as full as it can get in one port, and that
yeah,
means as many different contracts as you can arrange.
yeah, just being careful about the weight and the distribution.
Mhm.
That's the only real thing that you would have to worry about. Just understanding the size of what you're dealing with versus the size of where you're putting it.
Yeah,
And a captain should just know that off the top of their head.
yeah,
And
he would be able to figure that out, and then the crew themselves, who would be responsible for loading it on, would be the guys actually playing Tetris and
yeah,
distributing that weight across the hold in such a way that it's not going to unbalance the boat in rough waters.
yeah. So that's easy enough. It would be a little bit of different just about at every stop.
Yeah.
So I guess another table we would be able to run is what are we picking up this time?
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's a good point.
That would be the land-based or the port-based
Right.
tables. And that's also just if there's not a plan. And so the smart thing to do would be to run up the coast and then run back the coast. If he's trying to avoid that south border,
Right. Yeah. It would be a big hook that runs up around safe almost always. Up around safe, down to love, down to calm, down to pride, and then back up again. So yeah, it would just be a big hook over the northwest of the continent.
occasionally going down to the far side of fear to go back. But those
Right.
would be special contracts from fear to fear.
Right. Or from fear to sad, up to sad. But there's almost never any reason to head down to that southeast because
That's all
it's
hate.
only hate and then fear again.
Yeah.
So
It would be special contracts that would take us over there in the first
yeah.
place.
What was that?
Relaunch to update. Update what? You've been off. Sorry. My attention span seems to be fading.
That's all right. I think we got some good basic stuff worked out. Yeah,
Building those tables is going to take some time.
yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work, but no more than a week to be able to have some good stuff lined out. Um, and yeah, as far as how the actual moment to moment, we'll just have to play that by ear and feel what feels good and make adjustments when it doesn't.
Yeah. And retcon anything that doesn't make sense.
We're getting good at Redcon.
It's not like we have an entire episode that we could retcon from. Yes, the episode that doesn't exist. You know the one.
Was never entered into canon, so it can be anything we want it to be.
Yeah. Kay found his mother. and the entire fan base is just lost. We're sorry. Technical difficulties suck.
Yeah, we got to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah,
That
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 was rough.
that really bothered me. You guys missed out on some excellent role play. It was a lot of fun.
Q said words, maybe? I don't think I did.
You didn't. No one actually contacted you during the episode.
No, they did not.
Tuesday sucks.
But also, we weren't done with the day yet.
Yeah, that's true. Then because we had made arrangements to do a general meeting on the open channel
Yeah.
in the evening after lights out.
And then shit hit fan.
And then fan went shitty. Yep.
Watch the recovery episode. That's all we can say at
Yeah,
this
and
point.
the recap, it, it's still worth listening to. It's a fun conversation, a little behind the scenes conversation about how that went.
Yeah, you can tell we're not using blue.
Go green or go home.
I do like green. Green is my favorite color.
So yeah, I think that's everything we can hammer out right now without actually starting gameplay and feeling that out.
Yeah, that's about where we're sitting.
Yeah,
Just figuring out how the actual play is going to feel is all that's left.
yeah. But we're both open enough to the process that I think if rather than making an executive decision, we'll ask the question.
Yeah. How do you feel about,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, but what about?
I think we will be able to navigate that relatively well. It
Yeah,
should make for fun stuff.
we can hope.
Yep. So yeah, tune in on Monday. We that's when we get together anyway. You'll be able to watch on Tuesday because that's by the time I get it uploaded after the session. That's when it becomes available to you guys. For the next, well, I can't say the last chapter of the Clank Emancipation attempt. Starting with a fight and going from there. Um, Bex and I will be doing the side quest on Fridays. Is the way that it's been working out. It works well. That way we get to bookend the weekend with gaming on either side of it. Um, that makes me happy. Makes me feel fulfilled.
It's entertaining. We get to do the things, and yeah,
Yeah. So thanks for riding with us during this big ball of fluffy nothing. But we wanted you guys to be in on the process, so you know what to expect, how it's going to work, and that it might not uh, be what you're used to. It's kind of important that you know that because this is going to be a new way for both of us to game. I've never played with a co-GM, and I've never done. Uh, long form two-player games. So this is,
yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
yeah, it's going to be fun. Um, but yeah, thanks for chilling with us, and we'll see you next time. An Orrery of
Bye.
Souls out.